wavy beard.
Waited for you, Fry.
This episode traumatized me as a young person.
My head is hurting again.
Where's my firstborn son?
God does not care about me masturbating.
Your singing is bad and you should feel bad.
First get out into the bus, so you're like, oh no!
Yeah. I don't like myself becoming the protagonist of this podcast.
You've been in
Yeah, because you haven't learned anything.
Shut up and take my podcast. The podcast.
Wow. Chris
Yeah,
is,
right?
Chris
With-
is off of a leash.
You know, I've also noticed that, like, we abbreviate it to SHUP, which is just shut up.
Shoop.
Shoop. Shoop.
Hey, yeah, I want to shoot.
How does that-
Baby, shoot.
How does that abbreviate, though? It's because it takes
Shut
the first two letters of the first word. No, the first three, and then the last.
Sean introduced the podcast.
Are you sure we've been calling it shoop? Because I've been calling it suatup. Which is the better acronym.
No one agrees with you on that.
So welcome everybody to
Suatup.
which is also known as Shut Up and Take My Podcast, the Australian Futurama podcast that pits episode against episode in a bloody glorious tournament battle for your entertainment. And as always, I am joined here by the sexiest of men, Chris.
Naked ladies, naked ladies, naked ladies, naked ladies, naked ladies, naked ladies, naked ladies.
By the fuckiest of boys, Ellen.
Yeah, that's right. It's me, a Woms with opinions.
Get her out.
By the most bearded of human beings, Phil.
Coming to you from the Society of Mad Fellows.
And we're joined by Sean.
I am femme-sighted to femme be femme here, femme.
Say it a few more times.
Fem?
Femme.
Oh,
They do a lot of the what's the vag one they say?
the vagiscope? Is it meant to be like a
Vagiscope to full,
gyroscope?
Yeah.
The
Vagiscope.
And they
Yeah.
eat Vegemite.
The gyroscope?
Ooh.
Vegemite.
Vegemite sounds
Shit.
delicious. It could potentially have yeast in it.
That's the worst, Chris.
Thank you, Elle.
Don't ever have a vagina.
I know.
Oh, but I already bought one.
Well, so you're going to have to send
Hey.
it back to the factory.
AliExpress is amazing. You can find
AliExpress-
anything there.
AliExpress
Oh.
is always trying to sell me
Just don't get on
vaginas
Wish.
and fake fat. Like the
Oh.
fake fat that you would show in like some kind of diagram, like, you know, that you would
A
show.
school demonstration.
Yeah.
This is weird. AliExpress keeps trying to send me white pride t-shirts.
Why are they allowed to sell those?
I don't. All I see is
Why are they
white
sending it to
lives
you?
matter, and I'm like, I don't. Please stop recommending me.
Have you
this.
been? Is it the thing that happens when sometimes you watch a lot of leftist YouTube?
Maybe.
Where then it starts adding in the actual things they're critiquing. Because now my feed is full of fucking Ben Shapiro, and I'm
Yeah,
not about
that
it.
might be it.
You do
No,
love
honestly,
Ben
might be
Shapiro.
it.
Theoretically.
I love to.
You
Say,
ship
for the sake of argument.
Shapiro.
Let's say.
I Shapiro.
Let's say, for the sake of argument.
Let's say, for the sake of argument, that maybe hypothetically I like Ben Shapiro.
Yeah,
Let's say
Let's
that
say.
Ben has never satisfied a woman in his fucking life.
Categorically,
Ben,
he has
I'm
never
calling you
satisfied.
Oh
out.
my god! I saw the Surfs. Like, I couldn't watch much of it, but the guy from the Surfs was doing like he was looking at cancel con, no safe spaces, which is like 4 right-wing intellectuals sitting
Intellectuals is in air quotes, by the way.
I thought the scare quotes were like pretty obvious from my voice.
But not for the audience members.
We had them in post.
Yeah.
How?
And they were sitting
we
around
are.
in a garage, like talking about how cancelled they get, and it's like, you guys are fucking idiots.
Taking a huge
and
hit.
before it started, right? They had this fucking satirical cartoon of social justice warriors. And here comes Antifa. He's gonna fight fascism with fascism. Racism man has the ability to see racism everywhere. It's
Yeah.
like, these guys are so fucking fragile. Unbelievable.
We're recording in a garage.
And you know what we're doing? We're fighting today as well. As good news, everyone. I remembered one of my own things from episodes ago.
Holy
GNE.
shit.
Good news, everyone. We are up to the quarterfinals, round 3, where we are pitting the winner of the movies and or known as season 5, Into the Wild Green Yonder, against the winner of season 7, also known as the series finale, Meanwhile.
Well, I mean, in terms of runtime, it's got to be Into the Green Yonder, right?
Thank you, everyone. That's the podcast.
That's it.
Catch
Thank
you
you.
later.
Bye.
Longer is better.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is
That's what
known.
I've always said.
I have a question.
Yeah.
What is your question?
So the movies were broken up into what? 3 or 4 episodes?
4 episodes.
4 episodes. Okay.
Yeah.
Which quarter of
Yonder.
the film is the best?
The first.
The first quarter.
To me, it's either the first or even the
last.
fourth.
What
Like,
was-
yeah,
Yes.
it's the first or the fourth.
What would
Yes.
the second quarter even
Well,
be?
the first one ends, I think, when they shot like Bender, because the cliffhanger is that they pull
Right,
out
yeah.
on the graves, and then the
Yes.
start of the next episode would be the
Yes,
ship
that's
flying
right.
into view.
That's right.
Yes. Yeah.
And
Yes.
then that might end when
God,
I don't know.
I just completely forget how much I love
no.
the robot mafia and how quickly it doesn't matter to any of the plot.
Yes. No.
Second one is where the woman who writes slogans dies.
Frida-
I was going to say Frida
Waterfall?
Kahlo, which is
Frida
wrong.
Kahlo.
Frida
Frida
Waterfall.
I'm
Waterfall.
pretty
Waterfall.
fucking sure that's where second ends.
Yeah.
Right.
She gets
Or-
murderized.
No, that couldn't be right. That would be the instigating incident for that episode. So that would be...
Wait, that's
You know, we
heaps
could
late
do.
for an instigating
We could
incident.
watch the episodes.
What?
I think
No.
the third one's probably the weakest. I think the third one gets a bit meandery.
You get meandering.
I particularly don't like the chase that just goes on forever and ever and ever and ever.
What? What do you mean?
Well, they have the chase.
The
And then
Nimbus,
chase
yeah.
They get chopped
Take
in
2.
half. They go
Yeah.
through wormhole.
Through
they
the
get
golf
repaired.
course.
And they're
There's
like,
some
oh,
good-
let's start again.
There's some good shit in there with Fry being the security guard or whatever.
I mean, I think the thing that we've talked about with the movies is there is good shit in there. It's just that it's really, really, it's like, you know, a bit of butter spread out on too much toast.
Here's the fucking thing. I wasn't with you when you guys reviewed the movies. You three reviewed them with Sans Sexy Chris.
That's why you're so
aka
bitter.
me. Yes.
Okay, well then share your opinion
Yeah.
on
Because
the
I
one
was-
where
I
you
was
did it
wondering-
drunk.
and I'm there.
I was wondering if you were going to hate Yonder, because I've actually watched Yonder again, as we just did, and I have a renewed love for it. So I was very intrigued to know where you sat.
I was not expecting to like it because I remember watching it and very at the time around when it came out actually. And being super fucking disappointed because I was like, that's how you're going to send off one of the best shows on television, fucking like that. But now I'm like, yeah, it's good. That's a really good episode. As far as a movie, that's very good. I still don't know if I think it's better than Bender's Big Score,
That's my favorite.
but Green
you
Yonder
voted
is-
against it.
Sometimes
That's
we
no longer my
betray.
favorite.
Green Yonder is still very good.
don't
And
know.
I was like, yeah, okay.
We
all
put
right.
Beast of a Billion Backs over Bender's Big Score, and then
That's whack.
we put Yonder over Beast of a Billion Backs.
I
How
am-
do you remember all of my votes?
Well, A, because I'm awesome. B,
Apart from that,
There's
Sean.
another word that I'm thinking of that starts with A and it's not.
Anal.
Yeah.
I do love it.
acquiescent.
There we
yes,
are.
yes.
Sometimes Sean comes out with a burst of just unbridled self-confidence, and it is so lovely to
beautiful,
see.
isn't it?
Yeah,
It's a-
usually I'm like a depressive cuck.
It's
That's
very,
my
Sean,
job.
it's very arousing when you're confident.
Hey, that's another A word that describes
I
me.
mean, I would-
Arousing.
yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I was going to say asshole.
Well, that too.
Those
I mean,
two things can be the same thing.
An aroused asshole.
An
I can-
arousing
I can
arsehole.
tell you why we voted for Yonder, especially over Beast of a Billion Backs.
I
was-
definitely prefer over Beast of a Billion
yeah,
Backs.
because we couldn't get over the slightly rapey connotations of the
Yeah.
episode.
yes.
This one I
Wait,
actually
did
have.
Beast win then?
No, Beast
No.
beat Bender's Big Score.
But
I
Beast
can't
has
believe
the
I voted that way.
But Beast
Yeah.
has the rapey thing, so why did it get ahead?
I think it's got
because
other,
overall, besides that,
yeah, it's got a
overall
lot of good
besides that,
gags
yes.
in there.
it is very funny.
but
Tentacles
it's
are funny.
and it had David.
David Cross,
Cross,
yeah,
yeah.
as
Yeah.
the
Evo.
As
yeah,
Eva. Yeah.
as the weird omnipresent
Yeah.
Evo.
thing.
Evo.
Like
Evo.
there were
Evo.
some good gags in there. I'm surprised, mainly because watching Into the Wild Green Yonder, it's just more. There's certain parts where I just kind of sit and I'm like, come on, like mainly the whole straw feminist thing.
That's
Sorry,
the
I
bit
thought you were
I
going to
get
say
annoyed at.
mainly all of it.
Well, no, because there's like the robot mafia thing. There's
Yeah.
lots of little precious gems in there, and I'm like, oh, I fucking love this. I just wish that the eco feminist thing wasn't so crucial and also wasn't done so just boringly.
They're very stereotypical.
It feels to
It's
me
very
like
lazy.
baby's first feminist joke, where it's just like, and I feel like Hannah Gadsby, where it's like, what's that joke? Where it's like, what's the one about lesbians? Where it's like,
They're awesome.
Ha!
Yeah, I don't know.
I
That
mean,
was
they
it.
are awesome, but it's basically
they
like
are.
something about lesbians not finding shit funny, and it's just
right.
like, well, that's a shit joke, but then if
Yeah.
you don't laugh, like you're
Gotcha.
proving them right.
That's
you know?
right.
I
Yeah,
just
yeah,
say I
yeah.
have to bring up something though that Phil brought up in the episode when we were talking about Yonder originally, is that like while I agree with that to an extent, I also think that what they do in this episode quite
You said
effectively poo.
Nice.
Is that they shit on everyone equally. Like they do take an extreme look at like the capitalists like Leo Wong, and they do the same thing with the tinfoiled hat people. Like
Yeah.
there's a balanced kind of shitting on.
Ultimately, also the feminists and their cause is framed as the right one. They are in the right, and what they seek to achieve, they get.
Yeah.
But I for me, there's this little bit of like historical perspective almost. Like since this came out, the climate situation and the species diversity situation has got so much worse.
Yeah, in 11 fucking years.
It's gotten so much worse, and it feels a little. Looking back on it from where we're standing now, it feels like a little bit too light.
Yeah.
That's not that they don't know that. Like they don't know where we're standing now with half of with California on fire and Australia on fire this year. And
well, I mean, this was 2009, so you had documentaries coming out that were like,
Yeah, it's true.
Who killed the electric car? Hey, maybe we should have listened to the Democratic nominee from like 2000.
Yes.
Maybe Al Gore was the right nod, and it's like kind of. I don't know, like new, as opposed to like 11 years on, where we're like, maybe we should have solved climate change.
But also,
it feels
sometimes like that is a valid point, but also sometimes because they are right, that makes it more annoying that you didn't give them any kind of sympathy. There's a little bit of sympathy.
I
And
think
whatever.
there is though.
But
Like I think that's a bit of an extreme. I think we're allowed to have like a good point and still take a bit of a light approach because it's Futurama, it's animation. That's what we will do.
But it's more so when something is correct that it's like sometimes you feel like it's cheapened slightly when so much fun is spared at its expense. And just in terms of like characters like Frida Waterfall, she's not funny. And it's just like, well, if you're going to do that joke, I wish that it was funny. Like,
It's a little punchy down.
Yeah.
It's the old like South Park position,
where
right?
it's like, we'll shit on everything, but then it means the valid things get shit on.
Yeah. Well, it's like if you shit on everything, it's like, well, that's equal, right? And everything's cool with it. Well, it's like, yeah, but also that means you don't challenge authority or challenge power structures. Where it's like, and recently, like, I think it's interesting that Futurama did that in 2009. And in 2020, you have shows like South Park being like, hey, we apologize for being shit like 10 years ago and like in the last 5 years. And that's a show that fucking, if you watch South Park now, it's completely different to what it was 10 years ago. Like, it's a completely fucking different show. They take political positions where it's like, we punch up. That's it. South Park, if you
Never would have thunk I would live to see the day.
No, I really, like, this is just like a general, like, thing. If you haven't watched South Park in, like, the last 10 years or so,
I have not.
watch it this year. Because they broke fourth wall and were like, hey, you should vote for Biden, basically.
We're sorry.
We're sorry. And
sorry.
we apologize for making Nazis.
muddying
I
the
I just
Yeah.
don't see it as Futurama being shit.
No,
It's
it's
like-
not.
no,
I was just
God,
about to
no.
say.
Yeah,
Sure,
I don't
was
think we're
just about
saying
to say.
shit.
I definitely agree with you, Sean, in that it feels like it's affectionate. It's just maybe problematic rather than wrong. It just feels like it's just maybe slightly wide of the mark.
Yeah.
And I would also like to see a little bit more diversity amongst the feministas themselves. There's just too many giggly girls there, and I'd like to see more variety of people in their cause, right?
Yeah.
Maybe some men even in their cause.
Because I was going to say, for me, what feels a bit and annoys me particularly, mainly because, yes, I am a woman. But also,
fucking
it's like,
excuse
why
me?
is it? I get it that it's eco-feminist,
Yes.
but it's like, so what you're saying is these characters should be a bit annoying, and you're saying that like feminism is annoying, and these feminists say eco. It seems to me more about the feminism than it is about the eco shit.
It
where
is
I'm like,
reflecting a thing in the
Oh,
world
yeah, yeah.
where people can be really overbearing with their social causes.
oh no,
Yes.
I'm totally with that, and I think it's we're all kind of reiterating the same point, but like it's that it's just a bit gone, a bit wide off the mark. For me, I'm like, I wish that there had been a lot more kind of depth here, because then you could have found some really dark, funny jokes that you would have been like, like as someone who's sympathetic to like all of these kind of things, you'd be like, there's some kind of inherent understanding. And also I'm like, men wrote this because women wouldn't punch their own boobs, damn it. That hurts a lot.
Try it.
No, I don't need to.
Guess you'll never know if it hurts or not.
I played water polo for 8 years. I know what it feels like to be punched square on in the tit.
For 8 years?
Oh, that's a long time to play
That's
water
a
polo.
long time to play
my
water.
tits
drowned.
That sounds like a lie.
That's
Ellen.
why I never developed big tits, because they were constantly being punched.
I was going to say most retire due to like tit punch, but the famous disease.
I used to be a
meant
water polo
continuously
player
for
like
8
you,
years.
but then I got punched in the tit. No, I played it all throughout high school.
I think both these episodes have a really strong sci-fi premise to them. So you've got the
Don't we
very
have to do
Star
a-
Trek egg being.
We don't need to run down. They've seen the original episodes. They're fine. They know what they
All
are.
right, cool.
I mean, I did it last time as a joke.
Yeah.
Do it now as a
No,
joke.
continue your point.
All right, continue.
Well, I kind of am doing it because one of them is about a sci-fi egg creature that is like all life against all entropy or whatever.
Super Manta Ray.
Yes, and that
Versus
just feels very much like
Slug Boy.
the beginning of the Next Generation, the encounter at Farpoint with the weird space creature.
Sorry, I'm
I
not,
get
I'm
that
not a
reference.
nerd.
I'm not a fucking nerd. I'm sorry.
You're not a nerd.
We
They
just
fist
fist
You're a
bumped.
huge nerd.
It was
Ellen.
embarrassing.
Yeah.
Ellen and I weirdly were on side in this.
and then the time stop.
I don't like it, but I will join you.
Yes.
The time stop in the other one is a very strong sci-fi
Yeah.
playground for the
Yes.
writers as well. I don't
They
think
are
that's-
very sciencey.
Freeze time.
I also,
great.
I also forgot, because the great thing about not watching these in a while is during Into the Wild Green Yonder, I forgot what the essence of good beings looked like. And I was like, oh, what the hell is it? What is it going to look like? And the whole manta ray with the kind of
Oh, that visual's
world.
amazing.
Yeah, the world in its center. That was beautiful. I was actually really taken aback. I was like, this is freaking gorgeous. So
He doesn't have much screen time, but I really like his personality.
Do you know who voices
I
that?
guess I should save
anyway.
it then.
I guess I should. Yes.
You know who voices that?
No, who's the
David Cross. No, that's wrong. Though I think he should have. He would have been fun.
Redeem himself.
Yes.
I gotta,
for the other
weirdly enough, like kind of following on from what Chris was saying about how your mind changed on Yonder, my mind changed on Meanwhile. Because when I first saw it, when we first did it, I liked it, but I didn't see it as being this amazing ending to the series, and it felt like it was very rushed. Like I felt like once we hit the halfway point originally, we were all of a sudden at the end. And I had a much more positive view on Meanwhile in this run just now. Like I thought it really perfectly encapsulates the series in a way that we don't need to. Kind of what I said, I believe last week or the week before, is I don't need episodes to give everyone this equal kind of B plot, C plot thing. You know, just fuck it, shove them all into that graphite thing and let it be about what the series has always been about, which is Fry and Leela.
And there's also like with both of these things, two really beautiful moments between Fry and Leela's relationship. Obviously, it's the pivotal thing in Meanwhile, but you know, we have the whole thing of Leela knowing that she can trust Fry implicitly. That's very romantic, actually. Like the little pause that she takes where she goes, the fact that there is no answer that he needs to give her in order for her to trust him is very romantic. I don't think I could do that to anyone. Like,
Do you trust me?
No.
No, that's
Fuck
fair.
no.
They have that conversation all the time in this house, and
Yeah.
I am sick of it.
We yell it from room to room.
Do you trust me?
Do you trust me? No.
No.
Stop asking me.
Check in about an hour.
And it's kind of a very good historical touchstone for both those episodes, because in Yonder, that was the first time that they really pulled the trigger on Fry and Leela. Like, I think it's their first, I say
Kiss?
consensual kiss because it does happen in Time Keeps on Slipping, but Leela wasn't aware of it because time jumped.
They sleep together in when he gets the worms.
In Parasite. No, do
Parasite's
they?
Lost.
I don't know. No, they never consummate.
Don't they?
No, because she falls asleep reading that cuddly, and she's like, no, you don't need to seduce me again. I'm still seduced from before. And she's wearing the sexy negligee. But because he had to go away to test the holophone, and he's like, here. And
But I mean,
it's
they
shit.
definitely smooched and stuff.
Or-
Maybe some hand stuff. Come on, guys, fill in the blanks.
Hand under the shirt. Oh,
Yeah, under the shirt. That's what I meant.
Nothing more romantic than a quick handy. Tell you what.
In Meanwhile, the first shot you have of Fry and Leela is them holding hands.
It's yeah.
Because by season 7, because season 6, we always had that fucking problem where we're like,
Are they or are they
dating
not?
or
Yeah.
not? And season 7, they're like, okay, fine, they're dating.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I guess.
Yeah, there's some really sweet moments in both of these. It's interesting watching Futurama without the context of a season, like you said, because there's some shows that I feel like, because you've been binge watching How I Met Your Mother, which I've been very proud of.
From season 3, though.
Okay, well,
Yeah, I did a weird thing.
Yeah, okay, you do a lot of weird things.
I do.
but I
Do
feel
you
like
trust me?
sometimes
Stop asking that.
sitting down to watch a season of How I Met Your Mother can be really gratifying because it's kind of the whole arc is it slots together nicely when you kind of binge it.
Mm-hmm.
But it's kind of nice just watching Futurama episodes out of sync, and that's how I
it's
grew
not
up.
as serialized.
No,
so-
but that's
absolutely.
also how I grew up watching it. Like, I never knew what was on at
Yeah.
any given time, and
did
so
you? You're a fucking small child who
Did
didn't
any of
know
us
shit.
watch classic Simpsons in order?
Yes.
fucking no.
Did you actually?
No.
The first time you... Yeah, I was going to say.
This is a goddamn lie.
It's like when
The show that I did watch was Daria. But moving on.
I've never watched that show.
Daria's
la
so
la
good.
la la la. It is
I've watched
very
like
good.
all of Stargate in order.
You nerd.
You fucking nerd.
So many fucking seasons. Oh my god.
There's like 8, right?
There's 10.
Of Stargate.
They're really long.
Yeah.
I think I may have skipped out on some of the later seasons. It's not as good when it
Do we I'm just anticipating the fight that'll happen. Do we think that people will like fight one of these episodes over the other?
I think that will definitely fight next
I
week.
still haven't decided yet, so I don't
Wow,
know.
you're swayable.
Yeah, I'm swayable.
I am
yeah.
swayable too.
Do people
Okay.
know that our opinions need not be their opinions?
No.
No, oh god, have you
Shit!
been...
Well,
First
cut
day
that
on the
out, cut that
internet,
out.
So we just released as we're recording this episode today. We just released last week's, which was
Fucking hell, time.
Roswell versus All the President's Heads.
Yes.
And so I wrote on the tweet, I said, spoiler, this one kind of divides the group. And someone responded just saying, it fucking better be Roswell.
Whoa!
Yeah, because they're right.
We did vote for Roswell, right?
You didn't.
yeah.
You didn't.
You did
You
not.
didn't, so you're...
That was said with such a
Excommunicado.
vitriol.
I'm the one.
You didn't.
Wow. Oh my god. It's a show, you guys. Calm down.
As a toxic
First
part of
timer.
that fan
I-
group.
Facts don't care about your
I'm
feelings.
the only one that voted against
Fuck
Meanwhile. Everyone voted for Meanwhile in the original run, and I voted for
What was it up
Stench and Stenchability.
Would you... Look, voting almanac.
No, we divided it 3 ways.
No,
What
we
are
didn't.
you,
There were 3
Elliot from the
episodes.
Simpsons
There
Index?
no one voted for Murder on the Planet Express.
Oh, and I voted for Meanwhile.
You
That's
voted for
weird.
Meanwhile.
So every so often, Sean in conversation will go, that's interesting you say that because
Yeah.
you voted
Because
for this episode
I remember
over this
5
episode."
years ago when you
Interesting.
explicitly said that you didn't buy toilet paper. Interesting.
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 Hey, have you guys listened to the latest episode of Shut Up yet?
No.
Then shut your goddamn mouth.
Damn it, he got us.
Got us.
He got us good.
We should listen to our own content.
I do.
Or not. We
I've
live
had
it.
I've had literally no time. I've got so many episodes of because usually I'm up to date with everything because I listen to podcasts at work because I fucking hate my job. But at the moment I've been doing something really fulfilling and like working full time on a play, so therefore I've had not time to escape to my fake podcast friend
Man, it
land.
makes sense that you're drinking wine because that's a lot of whining you're doing there.
Wow.
Do you want cheese?
Hey, I watched you guys play. Play
Goosey?
Goose
Darkest
Game.
Dungeon.
Darkest Dungeon.
Ah.
And I
A
was
lot of
like,
peop- a lot-
ACC is accuracy, not attack power.
Sorry.
Hey, I have an excuse.
You've never
fucking
played it
never
before.
fucking played it.
I corrected myself in a later episode.
Yeah. Okay. Good.
Yeah.
Good.
Goose Game was fun though.
Meanwhile, I
Oh.
took to being a goose like a goose to mischief.
Speaking of Meanwhile,
Whoa.
Speaking of our YouTube channel, go to
Get outta here, Chris.
www.youtube.com.
Yeah, I was trying to be a bit more sly about
equal
it.
Baby and Media. No, that won't take you anywhere. Just Google
Just-
Baby and Media
just-
YouTube.
Just Google
just
it.
check out stuff. It's very like am I assuming that Ellen and Chris, you guys both know where you're heading in terms of your vote?
No.
Yeah,
Oh, you swayable too.
No, I've just been drinking.
Okay.
he's swaying a lot, I'll tell you that. But
Which one's funnier?
Well, that's the
Me.
thing.
Me.
I'll fight you.
I'll fucking
Lose.
improv comedy. No, we'll do a stand-up
Can you
night.
just take his wine away?
No.
Oh shit!
He's gone too
It's
far.
in his hand now.
Have you tried to take wine away from Chris?
That's red wine. It's going to go everywhere.
Have you tried to take alcohol away from me? I fucking kill you. My
all right,
northern
guys.
suburbs will come out and I will fucking stab you.
He also has black fingernails.
It's all right, guys. Don't worry.
Eskimo
because
Joe,
he's reading
2004.
his red wine. I get
No,
you.
I don't know.
Let me check.
Don't worry, guys. I got this. I've got an RSA.
I don't.
Fends Chris off like a vampire.
Oh, I'm
Hey,
gonna.
mate, look, it's for
It's
your
my
own safety.
kryptonite.
here,
Mate,
okay?
have
I'm just
some
trying
of
to
the-
make sure everybody has a good time tonight.
Have some of
okay?
these chips.
Let's see if we
No.
can. Let's see if we can do this again
Yeah.
without quantifying and without judgment. One bad thing about both of these episodes, without quantifying, without judgment. One bad thing.
Wait. You want me to say what's bad without judging it as bad?
We don't judge you.
Yeah, we don't judge
Right,
each
if
other's
you go-
opinions.
We're like, what?
2006, Eskimo Joe, black fingernails, red wine.
No
So
one
I was
cared.
closer.
I can do it.
But thank you, Chris.
You're
why
welcome,
don't you?
Ellen.
Why don't you jump off then? Sean?
Meanwhile, I felt they rushed the thought process and moments to Fry committing suicide. And into the Wild Green Yonder, I wanted there to be a better tie-in between Bender's subplot at the very beginning to the rest of the episode.
How does it get from
it
the
ends.
mafia to eco?
It
It
doesn't.
ends. Bender fucks off for a while. Oh, they dig him up.
Which part do you mean? Bender's wife,
Yeah, the
Floozy
mobs-
disappears.
Fanny. Yeah.
The mafia just disappear at the end of episode 1.
Yeah, because she's like, "Do you want to? I'm going back to my husband. Are you going to see me tonight?" It's like, probably not.
No, and then he never
And they,
does.
and they remove that element from the
And then
narrative.
Bender's back with the group until you see him again in the office of Nixon.
So
and,
the only thing that links that beginning bit is the mini golf part.
That's right.
yeah,
Yes.
that's it.
Yeah, that is doesn't tie together very well at all.
Yeah.
It feels like a plot that
it's an
belongs
ep-
in another episode.
It's an episode break.
yeah.
Yeah.
What about anyone else?
So it's just two bad things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
So for me, I've already said it. So I feel like I would have liked, a little bit of more nuance and diversity in the eco-feminists. Is it that they're more ecological or that they're more feminism? Yeah, just kind of more nuance in the jokes because I
Yeah.
feel like some really, really funny stuff could have come out of there. And meanwhile, I feel like as much as it does kind of make me laugh a little bit, the labor of this one perfect moment, because it's just like, well, you could have just proposed to Leela at the fancy restaurant. I know it's building to the big thing, but it just kind of,
Feels a bit arbitrary.
yeah.
Don't answer now. Come back later when the plot happens.
Yeah.
So I think Wild Green Yonder, and this is a bit of a problem with a lot of them, with all of the movies that they made. It just gets really flabby in the kind of middle act where you're just sort of waiting for things to happen, and Fry keeps going back to the Mad Fellows, and then there's he's with Wong, and there's this conflict, and it just feels like it bounces around for a while, without actually like steadily building to a head. It gets there eventually, but it feels like it just loses its way in there, and I get a bit bored, and my mind wanders off, and this still keeps me in with jokes and stuff, but I just feel in terms of tightness and plotting, the movie format really lets it down, and it just kind of loses its way. There was one moment in Meanwhile that really annoys me, which is where they set up their own rules about the time button and who remembers what when the button is pressed, and then break those rules. So
Which part is that? Sorry.
Because Leela,
Leela starts to be the one pressing the button because Fry is exploding on the ground.
Yeah, that's
And
right.
And
he
she's like, "Why are you
remembers-
falling? Why are you
Yep.
falling through the air?"
Yeah.
Presses the button. He's like, "Well, that's a funny story. I was going to do this. Blah blah blah.
Oh,
Splat.
yes.
Press
Yes.
the button." And then he continues on from where he
I
left off,
figured it was-
which is not part of the rules.
Yeah.
It's the beginning of Meanwhile. What happens early on?
Leela gets
Luna
shot
Park.
out of the
Luna
moon.
Park.
Luna
Oh
Park.
yeah, and
Yeah.
that just feels a little bit again.
It's a callback to
it's-
the series'
Yes,
lens.
it
Yeah,
is.
and
And
it's-
it's meant to set up that he wants to ask her to marry
Yeah,
him
that's
because
right.
she nearly
That's right.
dies. Yeah,
Yeah.
okay.
Was that
That's-
both of yours, Phil?
Yeah, that's it.
Weirdly, they use that in How I Met Your Mother as well.
Oh.
That's why Ted proposes to Stella, because he gets T-boned by a car. She flashes before his eyes, so he's like, therefore, she's the most important thing to me.
Therefore,
Sorry.
Stella!
Chris.
I would say Green Yonder's big.
You would say.
I'm just gonna
But you're quite
green
sozzled.
yonger.
I'm gonna have a quick sip of this
Yonga,
wine.
yonga.
This is like our Patreon episode, The Lunch Dates with Loki, where you can't say long-limbed, and then I can't say long-limbed.
Wait, Chris, say it.
Long-limbed.
Good job.
Nice.
Long limb the king.
Long-limbed the king.
Mufasa.
That just reminds me of Age of Empires 2, Regicide mode, where you got to put your king in a castle. Anyway,
Age of Empires.
Someone needs to get Chris back on track.
Shut the fuck up! I'll kill you. Age of Empires. Wallo. Wild Green Yonder.
Yes.
The biggest problem with that, I think, is the quote the basically feminazis, right? Is this
if
Categorically.
anyone says that,
I mean, that's what's coded. Is you have these overbearing, aggressive,
They're called ovaries, Chris.
Let him speak. Let the man
delicious
speak.
eggs, Ella. Delicious eggs.
I wish.
Yeah, right. I'd eat them. No.
No.
Another sip of delicious red wine juice.
Yes, because that's helping.
the way they code the eco-feminist in Yonder.
Yeah, is that they are to be punched down on as much as the capitalists, who are male, and I think that by punching down on women and environmentalists, even in kind of like clearly you're the positive people, clearly you're on the right side, none of that is really vindicated. It's the people who, the mad society, the outsiders, who are
save the
the
day.
ones who have the right knowledge, and it's Fry who's the correct. The feminist environmentalists are actually the people who are supporting a dangerous, like, what is it, dark ones? Are they called?
Yeah.
The dark ones.
the leech thing.
They're because they don't have the full picture.
Unwittingly.
They're unwittingly supporting the bad guys, right? And I think that's a fair kind of like centralist point of view that the writers have kind of written in, is like, oh, you don't want to be too capitalist. Oh, you don't want to be too environmentalist / radical. You actually want to find knowledge in these unfound spaces, these kind of mad people. And it's like, no, actually, the earth is dying. Creatures are being destroyed. Maybe we should be on the side of radical change.
Especially when it's golf courses that are
Yeah.
it's the opposite. Yeah.
And don't get me wrong, I fucking love a golf course.
a mini golf course with a gorilla.
Anarchist Chris. Don't get me wrong. I love a golf
Honestly,
course.
like as far as like anarchist environmentalist circles, like golf courses are fucking rad. I love golf courses.
I'm going to move you along. Meanwhile, that whole quantifying thing I was talking about.
yeah.
Fucking love a golf course. Yeah, thanks, Granddad. He left me his golf clubs. Anyway, fucking thing that I was saying about Meanwhile is that it doesn't get to it doesn't set itself up as a significant episode. It kind of plays itself off, particularly in the opening and definitely through the instigating event, as a kind of like natural episode. Like, this is an everyday episode of Futurama, and considering its massive payoff at the end, I feel like that's not significant enough. I feel like with significant episodes that end seasons, like the finale of season 4,
Devil's
even
Hands.
Devil's Hands, you feel like something is
Devil's Hands.
you
Yeah.
feel like something is happening. You feel
Yes.
like something big is about to happen.
It's got a ginormous opera in it. You know, that's
Yeah.
grand.
Yeah.
This doesn't feel as grand.
That's right.
Yeah.
And it feels kind of dismissive, as if like, not dismissive in a bad way necessarily, but in a way that, oh, look how much we've learnt and
like
look how much
casual.
we've grown, and it's casual. Remember when we cared about deliveries is literally one of the first like lines of the episode. And it's like, yeah, but also that wasn't an unsexy thing to start a series with. What if the end of the series was you caring about delivery? What if it was a return to roots? I'm not a big fan of, and some of the best episodes come from that. Like, what is it? The Swarm? Not the Swarm.
The Sting.
The Sting.
Michael Caine, the Swarm.
That's one of you know, our best episodes comes
Yeah.
from a delivery. So I'm like, look, I don't think you should throw the baby out with the bathwater. I don't think you should dismiss everything that's come before so quickly.
As a radical feminist, I love throwing up babies with the bathwater.
That's something
I
a
just
radical
love-
feminist would say.
I just love throwing babies.
And that's what a man would say.
It's why I'm called Baby Beard Media. It's why we're called that.
And Sean and I agreed on that after a few strokes at the golf course, throwing our babies around.
Having said that, my mum was babysitting for my little cousin the other day, and he really wanted to wrestle. He's like kind of like that age of like he wants to roughhouse and whatever. And he's an only
tombstoned
child.
that kid, didn't
and
you?
I fucking did.
DDT.
I fucking did. So many times I just threw him to the ground. Mainly because like at first I let him win a few times, but then clearly he was like using it to get out of shit. Like he needed to have a bath, and I'm like, all right, loser has to have a bath, and he's like, okay, I'll wrestle you then. I'm like, you're gonna fucking lose. You're gonna lose big time.
Did you hustle a baby?
I think
Yes.
that kid... Wait.
Yes, I did. He's 5. Okay?
Babies should be
It's fine.
exclusively hustled.
Who is this kid again?
Enzo, my
No, is
cousin.
it- Okay, cool. I'm just not going to say that next song. We're good.
Why?
And here was me thinking the problematic phrase for this episode would be, babies should be hustled. Not whatever Sean has in his head.
Oh, God.
Let's
vote,
Let's
shall
do the
we?
hustle and bustle over to the votey McVote vote. I
I
feel at the very least, let's start with Ellen because I think we know where Ellen is heading.
I really love Meanwhile.
Yeah.
It reminds me of my favorite movie about time, because it's got a similar kind of time travel, but in most time travel there's always high stakes. And yes, while like both Lila and Fry are thought to die in this episode, there's just like this lovely sense of ease and the wholly romantic notion that when you're with someone who is right, that you are never alone and that you can just spend time in silence and exploring and all the kind of little quiet moments. And that really does it for me. Also, it's got the benefit of being tighter just in terms of it doesn't have such a long runtime because it's not a movie. So, because all of my favorite episodes of Futurama are usually like cut. Like they usually kind of just go at a million miles per hour. And I love that. Having said that, I do love the just ease. It's like getting into a bath with Meanwhile. It's super romantic. I love Fry and Leela in this episode. And it doesn't feel out of character either, which is always nice. So, yeah.
I'm going to go Meanwhile as well, actually. I think there's definitely something in this show saying, hey, look, when Leela sort of lets go of her hang-ups and her judgments about Fry, then they can just be together. And that's really nice and really comfortable. And like a lot of the barriers between them were kind of mental.
Yeah.
Rather than incompatibility. I think we mentioned this when we first reviewed this episode, but I really like how far they go with just splattering Fry on the pavement over and over
He's
and
got
over
a lot
again.
of blood for a skinny guy.
Oh, I think it's just brilliant. And it's one of those things like the no consequences of Futurama when people can have Bender dropped on them or just this happens slightly in Yonder as well, where like 500 people get ejected into space.
Yeah.
And one of my favorite lines of the whole evening is how many men did we lose? All of them. Oh, good. Then they won't have to mourn each other. It's so morbid and so funny. So that's something I like about Meanwhile is that while they're being touching and they're being sentimental, they're also being gross and no holds barred about it as well. And I mean, it would be nice to see more of the characters and the cast. But Meanwhile, I feel like I disagree with you slightly, Chris. I feel like it has a purpose, and it's aimed at being a resolution to their relationship and being a satisfying conclusion to their relationship without upsetting the status quo, which is very clever. And I think for me, that's what makes it such a strong episode, is that it has a really clear vision of how it wants to end.
Well, I'll disagree with both Phil and Chris. It's interesting. Like
but I get through unscathed.
What I love is
you're a
that
woman.
I fundamentally agree with all the positive points for both episodes that you've all brought up. I think some of the key things is on the Yonder train, Yonder over there, I take a slightly different stance in terms of like if you are going to take a bit of a centrist view, and I say this as someone who is very left-leaning, I'm fine that there is more of a balance in how they shit on equal points of view. Like, I know it's easy for me, especially as someone who wholeheartedly agrees with the feminist point of view and the eco-friendly point of view, to go, well, that is the right one, which means don't shit down on them ever. I don't have that same radical point of view in terms of how Futurama and how animation should always. I don't think that's a rule that needs to be implemented there, at least for what I'm watching. By the same token, Chris also articulated something very important that I didn't realize for Meanwhile, is that I think you're right. It doesn't feel like a conclusion to the series. And I think that's what I was missing in the first episode, because it does have all the parts there to say this series is important enough for us to hinge it on Fry and Leela, but everything else surrounding that just kind of doesn't feel like it quite lives up. Like, it feels like it hinges too much on the fact of, oh, we're putting together and putting that bow on the Fry and Leela relationship, so that's all you guys need, right? Like, I think, for example, what was really special about Stench and Stenchability, which is why I voted for it, is it did something very special, which is it gave Zoidberg a happy ending, which is something that's totally antithetical to what they do with Zoidberg.
Yeah.
Because they shit on him in Meanwhile. Like, he doesn't get his happy ending in Meanwhile, whereas he does in Yonder. Because his whole story arc is he tries to fucking eat the old one. And then he does in the end. Like, his arc is complete.
Yeah.
That's true. That is very true. Yeah.
Zoidberg wins.
Yeah. And so I think that's
Chalk it up, boys.
That's what Meanwhile, what is missing for me is it just didn't have that sense of grandeur that Devil's Hands had. And I think to an extent that Yonder had. That being said, I do have a much more positive view of Meanwhile than I did. And I think, like, I'm a sucker for those emotional episodes, and I'm a sucker for a very tightly honed in episode that focuses on one or two characters. And it's always Fry and Leela for me. So I have to give it up to Meanwhile for the points that all you guys have said. Chris, bring it home.
So, well, before I do, I have been musing whether or not I should fight you all.
Outmanned, outgunned.
Whether I should try and convince you that Green Yonder is the better episode.
I mean, we are able to change our vote.
Well, that is
never happened.
I can't.
It has once. I did.
That is what I was thinking. And the more I thought on it, the more I thought that that's a ridiculous premise, because it's not the better episode. Meanwhile is. And I say that with some reservation, because I think Meanwhile is not a fantastic finale to the series. I think pairing it against Green Yonder kind of shows that Green Yonder has a lot of qualities that are kind of quintessentially Futurama, and Meanwhile doesn't really, in my opinion, commit hard enough to enough of the tenets that made Futurama such a great show. There are some beautiful animation, is beautiful 3D animation that was, in 1999, stunning. But I think, thinking back to the point I made earlier about throwing the baby out with the bathtub, the work in the Luna Park feels kind of flabby and kind of treaded with the sense of, oh yes, we were this, now we are this thing. And the new thing it suggests itself, it isn't terribly interesting to me. I kind of think that Meanwhile shows the version of Futurama that, had it continued, I wouldn't have kept watching. Saying all of that,
I thought you almost just talked yourself into
that's
putting
what
it to
I thought was
Yonder. That's what I thought was just about to
Wait a
happen.
minute.
saying all of that, Green Yonder wants to make a point, and it wants to make a very clear point, and it's a point I politically and socially agree with, but it isn't the TV show that I fell in love with. Futurama is a show about a man who traveled through time and found the love of his life and tries to convince her with his crazy, bizarre robot best friend and his uncle for a great grandson. 26 greats, I think. Then, no, 16. Anyway, that's the show. And as bizarre as that show is, Green Yonder isn't that. Green Yonder is a call for environmentalism. It's a call for environmental conservatism. It's a call for listening to people who are speaking wisdom about how the planet and our species is dying, and we need to protect that. And that sometimes love can blossom, like in the final moments of that show. Sometimes there are profiteers, like Bender throughout the series, playing both sides of the coin. But that isn't Futurama. Futurama is, the series has landed. Like, I think if you really stripped the whole show back, it's that.
It's more personal.
It's far more personal. And whilst I think had this vote been Bender's big score versus Meanwhile, I probably would have voted for Bender's big score. In this instance, Green Yonder versus Meanwhile, it's got to be Meanwhile.
Chris.
Yeah.
Are you a romantic?
You know that, surely.
Oh,
surely.
shut up.
He works in the theatre, darling.
Well,
Darling.
I fall in love every second week, and I love loving.
That's why we're in our poly cube together.
Yeah.
Please stop saying that.
Fall in love just a little or a little bit.
Well,
Every
what that
day
means
with someone new.
is that we now have 3 out of the 4 quarterfinals complete. We have When Aliens Attack, Roswell That Ends Well, and Meanwhile. Next week, they will be joined by one of 2, which should be the most bloodthirsty of the lot, I predict, which is Luck of the Friarish or The Sting.
There's going to be blood.
I'm going to fucking
There's
kill
going to
you
be
all.
blood.
I'll kill you all so my
Two
vote
of my
goes through.
absolute favourite episodes.
It's
Yeah.
the
So I
heavyweight
think
main
I'll
event.
probably kill myself.
I think, yeah,
Just like Fry.
Very good.
I'll kill everyone in this room, including myself.
I'll start with
I'll
me.
start with me, then I'll move on to you.
And you know what? If any of you happen to disagree with our picks or want to make a
Get
passionate
fucked.
creed,
Don't at me.
No, do at her. Attack her.
No, at
Sorry, let
Baby
him
Beard
let the man
Media.
finish.
let the man finish, or just tweet us or bookface us and email us. Let us know what you think. Is there another episode that you think should have been into the list? You know what? Just talk to us, people.
Just
or,
talk to
we
us.
might even pretend that we care.
Just
and
wake
you know
up.
what? If you want your words to have more weight, or you can always jump onto that patreon.com/babybeard and vote with your wallet.
Give us $500 and we'll change the best
change
episode
everything.
to whatever you like.
Yeah.
We
I
can
love
be
that.
bribed.
I love
Amazon
that.
Women in the Mood? Sure, it's
yours.
Yeah, done.
If someone just
for
slips
$1,000.
us something crisp, would go, yeah, I would like to change my vote from 5 weeks ago. Nothing more to say.
Justice Dog, what do you think?
Am I Justice Dog?
Yes.
Nice. I hate dogs.
Woof.
And
Sorry, friends.
Until next week, when you can try and bribe Chris to change his mind about dogs.
You can bribe me to change my mind about anything.
Yeah.
About being straight, about being gay, about being bi. No, don't do that.
What? No.
No.
I have been
Just give me money.
I've been the head of the Polycube, Sean.
Well, I guess I'm the legs then. That's Ellen.
Cubes don't have either of those
Shut up.
things. I'm Phil.
Don't question our love.
And I'll form the head. Wait, no, Sean's that. Fuck! I was Chris.
Fucking bye.
Bye.
Thanks for tuning in. If you'd like to contact us, you can do so by emailing us at babybeardmedia@gmail.com. Our socials are Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram @babybeardmedia. And if you're looking for a way to support us, the best way you can do it is by jumping onto iTunes or the podcast app and giving us a 5-star rating and a nice review. It goes a long way to helping us. Otherwise, if you'd like to join us next week,
Anyway.
Do I need to get you wine?
Yeah.
Oh, if you'd like. You don't have to. But
Are you going to need it now?
Yeah.
Okay. Gotta give baby his juice.
It's got to be huge.
Don't you fucking dare let me drink water. I'll fucking kill you.
I'm really sorry to burst your bubble.
It's
Chris.
called
Yeah, Holmes.
supporting.
But
Ever heard of
society
it?
will
No.
have crumbled long
Shit.
before you reach your 40th.
Oh, hell yeah.
Shit. Does that mean it's going to come back around for mine?
No,
Wait.
well, you can be some sort of you can be some sort of warlord.
I haven't accounted for Drunk Chris because Drunk Chris peaks like a motherfucker.
Drunk Chris is loud.
Yeah, so
Sounds
they're the
like
ones who kind of
McDonald's.
kicked off the Melbourne coffee
I
culture.
can't see from there,
Well,
Ellen.
then
Phil, can you
someone
please
take
pass?
the phone.
I can't. Go, Gadget Tom!
He isn't in a polycube and
Polycule.
whatever.
Polycube.
No, it's one step
That would
up.
work.
That's from Tron.
Yeah, it would.
That would work.
If you have
work.
enough people.
You have enough people, yeah, and they're connected in just the right way.
Come on,
Yeah.
guys. We talked about this.
Polytesseract.
We're a polycube.
How so?
We're in a poly
We don't
relationship
sleep with,
together.
No one in this group sleeps with each other.
We just don't like to admit it.
We did it just
Sean,
before
stay the
this
fuck out of my
recording.
room.
I don't even sleep in the same room as my wife.
Yeah, yeah.
I don't even sleep in the same room as my wife.
Do you
I
know-
don't even sleep in the same room as your wife.
I'd find that hard to
You
believe.
both-
Wait,
you
Ellen?
both-
She's in Queensland.
You both sleep in the same room as my wife. Woohoo! It's the cuck back again.
Oh no! The cuck strikes!
The cuckster!
the featured character we didn't record. I've already got conned into a costume by my girlfriend.
What is it?
I'm Krieger from Archer, and she's going to be Pam.
Oh, God.
It's very cute.
You are very Krieger.
And yes, I want to fuck clones. That's a
Your-
Krieger
your
thing to say.
own?
That's absolutely a Krieger thing to say. I'll fucking fight anyone. And her friend is going to be Cheryl. So I
Nice.
imagine I'm going to have to invent a choking machine for her, but
Oh, okay.
who knows?
Would you fuck a clone of yourself if that clone was into you?
Why wouldn't the clone be into me? I'm fucking hot.
So would you fuck
So
it?
I think we've got one answer down.
Okay, so in theory,
They know what I
yes.
like.
Yes.
In practice,
They know what I like.
me
Shut
and
the
the
fuck
clone
up.
would probably have anxiety about the idea of fucking each other and be like, "Nah, it's fine. It's okay. It's fine.
okay.
We've
Well,
got-
let's just play video games or
Well,
whatever."
then can I date clone Chris?
Yeah, you can date clone Chris.
Oh, great.
Damn it, we're evenly matched.